thanks for tuning into Plant-Based Lindsay. And today we're going to talk about how to lose weight on a plant-based diet. Now, for a lot of people, when they switch from their regular diet to a plant-based diet, the weight falls off effortlessly. And if that's you, that's awesome. But it's not the case for a lot of people, and it definitely wasn't the case for me. When I first tried switching to a plant-based diet 5 years ago, within a week I had put on 3 pounds. I was miserable, I felt doughy, and I was like, this diet is not for me, not doing this. And I switched right back to my high protein, low carb diet and did that for another 2 years. Well, since then I have gained a little bit of knowledge and learned how to do a whole food plant-based diet the correct way that supports weight loss and supports maintaining a healthy weight once you're there. So I'm going to share those tips and tricks with you today. Hopefully you can follow along, get some ideas so that you can do your plant-based diet effectively to lose all of your extra weight. So let's get started. So the first thing we need to talk about is, what does our body use as fuel and what do we want it to be using as fuel? So your body has 2 main sources that it likes to use for energy, and that is carbohydrates and fats, okay? Carbohydrates are things that are in like your whole grains, your fruits, your vegetables, and your legumes. Fats are your oils, your nuts, your seeds, your coconut, etc. Those are your body's 2 main sources for fuel. Now your body preferentially burns carbohydrate or sugar. It will burn fat, but it has to get itself into ketosis, and it's a little bit more difficult to do that. So if you have an abundance of both sugar and fat at a meal, your body is preferentially going to burn the sugar as fuel and store the fat as fuel for later. And it's very easy for your body to store that fat. Actually, scientists have looked at this and they've analyzed people's fat cells, and they can actually tell exactly what type of fats these people have eaten just by analyzing the cells on their body. They can see, okay, that fat cell came from olive oil, that one came from peanuts, that one came from butter or lard. So keeping this in mind, we want to go ahead while we're trying to lose weight on our plant-based diet and take the excess fats out of our diet, so our body is burning their sugar for energy but not just storing all that extra fat anytime there's both available. The next thing we want to pay attention to is calorie density of our food, because when it comes to weight loss, you really are looking at burning off more calories than you're taking in. So if you are eating foods that are very calorie dense, let's say like olive oil, it has 120 calories in just 1 tablespoon. You're not going to be able to eat a whole lot of olive oil on your diet while you're trying to lose weight. Whereas if you look at foods that are fairly calorie dilute, like vegetables that have a lot of extra water and fiber in there, you can get a cup of cucumber and that's probably got less than 20 calories in it. I mean, which one's going to fill you up more, right? So if you're trying to lose weight on a whole food plant-based diet, you're going to try to focus on eating more of those calorie dilute foods and making up at least half of your plate with those. So those are things like your non-starchy vegetables. Lots of cucumbers, green pepper, broccoli, cauliflower, all of those beautiful greens and those beautiful cruciferous vegetables that can make you feel really full and give you a nice bang for your buck without adding a lot of calories in there. Next things we want to do from our diet, as we talked about, was removing the excess fats from your diet. We don't want to be adding in too many nuts, seeds, avocados, coconut, any olive oils or any cooking oils, because we're going to take those oils and fats and store them directly onto our body, and that's not what we want to be doing right now, because we want to be trying to lose weight. So once you get to your goal weight, you're safe to add those foods back in slowly to see how much of them that you can tolerate. But while you're trying to lose weight on your whole foods plant-based diet, it's best to remove all the extra added fats, because again, they're very calorie dense, they don't take up very much room in your stomach, and they add a lot of extra calories that can be stored as fat. And the name of the game when you're trying to lose weight on a whole food plant-based diet and not feel like you're starving or feel like you are deprived is, well, you want to be eating lots of food, high volume, as much of it as you want. And if you start adding those oils, nuts and seeds and avocado and coconut back in, you're not going to be able to do that. So let's stick with the calorie dilute foods for now. So lots of vegetables, lots of fruits, and then we're also going to have all of our whole grains in there. So that's going to be our quinoa, our brown rice, our oatmeal, and all of our legumes. So our beans, our lentils, and a little bit of soy products here and there as well. So when we're trying to build our meals on our whole food plant-based diet for weight loss, if we look at our plate, we want to look at doing half of our plate with those calorie dilute vegetables, so those non-starchy vegetables. And then the other half of our plate, we can make up using our starches and our fruits. Another thing to mention when we're trying to lose weight on our whole foods plant-based diet is we want to make sure that we remove all of the processed foods from our diet, and we want to try to eat our foods as close to the way that they came out of the ground as possible. So things like breads, pasta, those things may be a little bit too calorie dense and a little bit too easily digestible for you to continue losing weight on. So it's best to take those things out of your diet as well while you're losing weight, and you can add them back in once you get to your goal weight. So let's pop over to the kitchen now and have a look at some of the foods that we want to make sure that we remove from our plant-based diet while we're trying to lose the weight. Okay, so now let's have a look at some of the foods that we want to reduce or eliminate while we are trying to lose weight on our plant-based diet. So, a few things that I have here. We've got some really healthy raw cashews, some delicious mixed nuts. Both of these things are going to be very high in fat, and so consuming them while you're trying to lose weight on your plant-based diet is going to be difficult. Same with our hemp seeds, and one of our crowd favorites is going to be the peanut butter. Adding a bunch of peanut butter to your food while you're trying to lose weight is definitely going to be something that's going to stall your efforts. Now our hemp seeds, they've got lots of our healthy omega-3 fats that we hear all about, but just because the fat is high in omega-3s doesn't mean it's going to be easy to lose weight while eating a lot of it. So again, remove this from your diet until you're at your goal weight. And then when it comes to things like cooking oils, I think that they can be removed from your diet indefinitely for good. You don't need to use oil while cooking in order to have delicious food. You can dry bake or dry roast your vegetables, you can steam them, you can water fry them on the stove. There's no reason to be having these things in your foods. I use the coconut oil to make lotion out of, and I use the canola oil to make a cake about 3 or 4 times a year, and it's just for a treat. So these things really have no place in your whole foods plant-based diet. Now, there's a few other things that aren't necessarily oils, but they're going to make it a little bit more difficult for you to lose weight. So you may want to consider removing bread. It's fairly calorie dense. Your body digests it very easily. So while you're losing the weight, it makes sense to remove this from your diet. Same thing with whole grain pasta. Again, a healthy choice, but if you're having difficulty losing weight on your whole foods diet, take this out as well. Dried fruit, it's delicious, but again, it's very calorie dense, so adding a bunch of dried fruit to your meals, it's delicious, it tastes sweet, it's not unhealthy, but it may make it more difficult for you to lose weight on your plant-based diet. And sugar. Sugar is definitely not a whole food, so you may want to just take it completely out of your diet for good, but really that comes to any added sweeteners, so honey, maple syrup. We don't want to be dumping a ton of that onto our food while we're trying to lose weight. For myself, I like a tiny little bit of maple syrup in my oatmeal in the morning, but I really don't think, a teaspoon of that is going to make a huge difference for me personally. Something you kind of have to look at for yourself. If you're trying to lose weight as quickly as possible, get all the added sugars out of your diet, not including fruit. That's a healthy whole food. All right, thanks for tuning into my video today of how to lose weight on a plant-based diet. Please like my video and please subscribe so that you can make sure to tune into all of our plant-based videos in the future. Thanks.